The phone call came at 6:30, just as I was reviewing satellite imagery of the Korangal Valley. The number was blocked, but the voice on the other end was unmistakable. The White House Chief of Staff. Captain Torres, the President will present your Medal of Honor tomorrow at 1400 hours. A car will pick you up at 800. Dress blues, full decorations. I set the phone down slowly, my hands steady despite the magnitude of what I just heard. On my desk, 3 monitors displayed real-time intel feeds from Afghanistan. Red markers blinked where our forces were engaged. Blue showed friendlies. For the past 18 hours, I've been tracking a situation that would soon make headlines around the world. My secure phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Your father's at the golf course telling everyone you're just a desk clerk who types reports. Maybe come home and explain what you really do. I stared at the message, then at the monitors showing 47 American soldiers whose lives had hung on my typing 12 hours ago. No, I thought. Let him find out tomorrow with the rest of the world. My name is Captain Elena Torres, and I'm an intelligence operations officer with the Defense Intelligence Agency. For the past 6 years, I've worked in a windowless room in the Pentagon, surrounded by screens, secure terminals, and the most sophisticated intelligence-gathering technology in the world. To my father, this means I'm a desk clerk. To the soldiers in the field, I'm the voice in their ear that keeps them alive. Growing up, my father, Master Sergeant Robert Torres, retired, had very specific ideas about military service. Real soldiers carried rifles. Real soldiers kicked down doors. Real soldiers got dirty, got bloody, got stories worth telling at the VFW Hall. Real soldiers were like him. Infantry, airborne, rangers. Real soldiers were not his bookish daughter who preferred computers to combat boots. Maija, he'd said when I told him I was joining the army, at least try for something respectable. Military police, maybe, or logistics. But intelligence? You'll spend your whole career behind a desk, getting soft, never seeing real action. I tried to explain that modern warfare had evolved, that intelligence was the tip of the spear now, that cyber operations and real-time tactical intelligence saved more lives than any rifle. But to him, if you weren't carrying a weapon and kicking in doors, you weren't a real soldier. So I stopped trying to explain. I let him tell his golf buddies that his daughter worked with computers while his son, my brother Miguel, an infantry lieutenant, was the real warrior in the family. I let him show off Miguel's combat infantry badge while dismissing my Joint Service Commendation medals as participation trophies. What he didn't know, what my security clearance prevented me from telling him, was that I'd been the intelligence officer behind some of the most critical operations of the past 5 years. That my desk work had prevented 3 major terrorist attacks on U.S. soil, that I'd spent more sleepless nights than any infantry soldier, watching drone feeds, analyzing patterns, and making split-second decisions that meant life or death for forces on the ground. But yesterday, everything changed. It started at 200 hours. I was alone in the operations center, monitoring routine patrols in eastern Afghanistan, when I noticed an anomaly. A patrol from the 2nd Battalion, 503rd Infantry Regiment had deviated from their planned route. Nothing major, just a few hundred meters, but in that region, a few hundred meters could mean the difference between safe passage and an ambush. I pulled up their communications, static. Their transponders were active, but comms were down. I quickly accessed satellite coverage of their position and felt my blood chill. Heat signatures in the mountains above them. Dozens. They were walking into a perfect kill zone. I tried their emergency frequency. Nothing. Tried the battalion TOC. The duty officer sounded bored until I explained what I was seeing. That's Eagle 2-1, he said. 47 souls on board, including a full squad of Afghan interpreters. Comms have been spotty all week. 47 lives. I zoomed in on the satellite feed, using every tool at my disposal. The heat signatures were moving, setting up positions. This wasn't random. This was a coordinated ambush, and our people were walking right into it. I made a decision that would later be called exceeding my authority by some and tactical brilliance by others. I bypassed the normal chain of command and linked directly into the Predator drone assigned to another sector. Without authorization, I redirected it to Eagle 2-1's position. What I saw through the drone's camera made my stomach drop. Enemy fighters, at least 60 of them. armed with RPGs and heavy machine guns, waiting in perfect ambush positions. Our patrol was 5 minutes from contact. I couldn't reach them by radio, but I had one option. The patrol was equipped with Blue Force tracker tablets that could receive text messages via satellite. I typed rapidly, Eagle 2 to 1 immediate AJLT. Ambush 300 meters north, 60 plus enemy. Break quantity 70. Drone superior inbound. Torius. I watched through the drone feed as the patrol stopped. The lead vehicle's gunner checked his tablet, then showed it to the patrol leader. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, organized chaos. The patrol reversed course, moving south at high speed. The enemy, realizing their ambush was blown, opened fire anyway. RPGs streaked through the air where our vehicles had been seconds before. I was already coordinating their escape route, using the drone to spot enemy positions and relay them to the patrol via text. RPG Team 2 COCQ 150 meters. Machine gun Nest Rigi line 400 meters. Clear route south salutate west Pafoleldo Wadie. For the next 3 hours, I guided them through the mountains, staying one step ahead of the pursuing enemy. When they tried to set up another ambush, I saw it first. When they attempted to flank, I warned the patrol. I called in artillery strikes, coordinated air support, and even used the drone's Hellfire missiles when enemy forces got too close. By 500, Eagle 2-1 had reached safe territory. 47 American and Afghan lives saved, 0 casualties. The battalion commander called me personally. Captain Torres, I don't know how you did what you did, but you saved my people. Every one of them. What I did was my job. What I did was sit behind a desk and type. The after-action review revealed the full scope of what had nearly happened. The enemy had been planning this ambush for weeks, specifically targeting that patrol because they knew it included several high-value interpreters who'd been instrumental in recent operations. It would have been the deadliest single incident for U.S. forces in 3 years. Instead, it became a case study in modern intelligence operations. The Secretary of Defense called it a perfect example of how tactical intelligence saves lives. The Chief of Staff of the Army went further, recommending me for the military's highest honor. And my father? He spent today on the golf course, telling his foursome about how his son Miguel had earned another combat ribbon, while his daughter Elena probably spent the night updating spreadsheets or whatever she does in that office. The morning of the ceremony, I put on my dress blues with the same precision I brought to everything. Every ribbon in place, every medal aligned. The Bronze Star with Valor device, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Joint Service Commendation medals my father had dismissed, and soon, the pale blue ribbon with the Medal of Honor. My mother had asked if I wanted them to attend. I'd said yes, but hadn't told them what the ceremony was for. Just a Pentagon thing, I'd said. You know how it is. The White House East Room was packed with military brass, government officials, and media. I stood in the anteroom with the other honorees, a Navy SEAL who charged a machine gun nest to save his team, and an Air Force pararescueman who descended into enemy fire to rescue wounded Marines. Captain Torres. An aide appeared. Your family is here. We've seated them in the front row. Through the doorway, I could see my parents and Miguel in his army uniform. My father was checking his phone, probably updating his golf buddies about having to attend some boring Pentagon ceremony for Elena's computer work. The president's military aide called us to attention. It was time. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. The room rose as one. I marched in with the others, took my position, and waited. The president spoke about valor, about service, about the evolution of warfare in the 21st century. Then he turned to me. Captain Elena Torres, he began, and I saw my father's head snap up at the mention of my name. Intelligence Operations Officer, Defense Intelligence Agency. The president continued, his voice carrying across the silent room. In the early hours of March 15th, Captain Torres was monitoring routine operations when she detected an imminent threat to American forces. With no direct communication available and time running out, she displayed exceptional initiative and tactical brilliance. I kept my eyes forward but could see my father in my peripheral vision. His phone had dropped to his lap. Acting without regard for her own career and exceeding her authority to save lives, Captain Torres redirected critical assets, established innovative communication methods, and personally guided a patrol of 47 American and Afghan personnel away from a sophisticated enemy ambush. For the next 3 hours, she served as their guardian angel, coordinating artillery, air support, and real-time intelligence that prevented what would have been the deadliest attack on American forces in years. The president paused, looking directly at me. Captain Torres exemplifies the modern warrior, one who fights not always with rifle and grenades, but with intelligence, technology, and unwavering dedication to protecting those in harm's way. Her actions saved 47 lives and prevented a strategic victory for our enemies. He turned to the audience. It is my profound honor to present the Medal of Honor to Captain Elena Torres for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of her career and beyond the call of duty. As the president placed the medal around my neck, the room erupted in applause. Through the standing ovation, I finally looked at my father. His face was a study in shock, pride, and something that looked like shame. The golf buddy sitting next to him, who must have come along, was recording everything on his phone, mouth agape. After the ceremony, I was surrounded by well-wishers, senior officers, and media. Through the crowd, I saw my family approaching. Miguel reached me first, wrapping me in a fierce hug. "Holy shit, Elena," he whispered. 47 lives? Why didn't you ever tell us? "Classified," I said simply. My mother was crying, touching the medal gently, and my father, he stood there, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him, struggling for words. He started, then stopped. "Behind a desk," he said quietly. "I told everyone you just sat behind a desk." "I do sit behind a desk," I said. "That desk just happens to be connected to every intelligence asset the United States military possesses. From that desk, I can see every battlefield, warn every patrol, and coordinate every rescue. From that desk, I've saved more lives than I could with any rifle." He nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the medal. "I've been a fool," he said. "A stupid, stubborn fool. I measured service by the dirt on your boots instead of the lives you protected. I am sorry, mind ya, so deeply sorry." One of his golf buddies appeared at his elbow, phone still recording. "Bob, is this really your daughter? The one you said was a desk clerk." My father straightened, and for the first time in my life, I heard pride in his voice when he spoke about my service. "No," he said firmly. "This is Captain Elena Torres, Medal of Honor recipient. She's a warrior who fights from the future, saving lives with intelligence and technology I'll never understand. His voice cracked slightly, she's the best soldier I know." Later that evening, at the reception, I found myself standing with a Navy SEAL and Air Force pararescueman who'd also received medals. We compared stories and both admitted they'd rather face enemy fire than do what I did, make life or death decisions from thousands of miles away, carrying the weight of every choice alone in a windowless room. "Takes a different kind of courage," the SEAL said, "to fight a war through a computer screen, knowing you'll never get credit, never get recognized, but doing it anyway because lives depend on it." I thought about all the nights I'd spent in that room, all the operations still classified, all the lives saved that no one would ever know about. Tomorrow, I'd be back at my desk, back to being invisible, back to fighting wars in silence. But tonight, for just tonight, the world knew that sometimes the most important battles are fought by warriors who never fire a shot, who save lives with keystrokes and intelligence, who sit behind desks and change the course of history. My father found me as the evening wound down. "Elena," he said, would you tell me about your work? The parts you can share. I want to understand. I need to understand." I smiled. "Buy me coffee tomorrow, and I'll tell you what I can." "Deal," he said, then pulled me into a hug. "I'm proud of you, Captain, so damn proud." As I left the White House that night, medal heavy around my neck, I thought about the 47 soldiers who'd made it home to their families. They'd never know my name, never know how close they'd come to disaster. And that was okay. That was the job. Tomorrow, I'd be back behind my desk, watching over them all. And for the first time in my career, my father would know that behind a desk was exactly where this warrior belonged.